Let's see if I can. So, we got our boost reference line hooked up. This is going to go out to the boost gauge. AFC is getting fed pressure though from the manifold. I welded up this ram. I welded up the intake tube. I put silicone boots with T-clamps, T-bolt clamps. I welded up the exhaust. Got a patch here because I was originally going to put a mixing bell in this elbow and have half-inch or half nipple running in there at an angle to mix the water up here, but I decided against that. We're going to go down here just to make sure the turbo stays dry, and we'll just put a titanium heat wrap on that.
New turbo.
Yep. It's a
oil line
H1C whole set. You got the oil line run, it's just hard copper 3/8. Got the drain run, I think it's 7/8 ID. Petroleum rated tubing. Got all the new thread inserts in the head. Had trouble with the originals. They had some Loctite stuff. It wasn't really Loctite. I don't know. It sure didn't work right. It didn't set up and keep these from moving when I threaded the bolts in. With the slightest bind, these would just loosen up and thread out the back side of the head. So I went with a different style of insert. I upped the thread to 9/16 12, and the other inserts had keys that drive it on the side. I think they're lock certs or something. I can't remember what they call them, but anyway, those are taken care of.
Obviously new manifold.
Yep, wet manifold.
It's awesome.
Got the gaskets in. Everything's torqued. Everything's sealed up nice. It's all holding. I got my exhaust block off plate. Got a fiber gasket under this. I just greased the gasket and bolted this down. There will be water. There are 4 journals where water can come up through. And if we have flow issues later on, I can weld bungs on and add water bypasses. That'll also exit into the exhaust if we have too much pressure in the exhaust housing at the turbocharger. But
What'd you end up figuring out? I mean, I wasn't here. What'd you figure out that was going on with the first piston, first cylinder?
Yeah, so the plungers and barrels needed to be recalibrated on this pump. So what I did was with the manifold off, I started the motor and loosened these nuts and was able to tap on this with a brass drift, rotate the barrels, and adjust the fuel on each cylinder. And I got all the cylinders within 10% of each other, temperature-wise. So based off cylinder temperature, they're all set relatively close. Don't exactly know how much fuel we're pumping, but we're going to put a pyrometer on it and make sure that our exhaust temps are within a safe range, and if it works, it works. Not going to worry about it too much.
Sure. Obviously here, this block off plate, that's just homemade. We're going to change that because Jake got this.
Yeah, so the raw water is going to be taken care of. I got a gear-driven pump, 1.25" feed. We're gonna take the raw water. First, we're gonna run it through a heat exchanger. So I got this plate heat exchanger. We'll have lake water on one side, engine coolant on the other. So that'll take care of the engine. Then on the closed loop cooling system for the motor, I've got a little expansion tank, pressurized cap. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about it becoming pressurized because these motors run at like 180, 190 Fahrenheit. But I don't know, 20 something bucks on Amazon. Came with fittings for your overflow line there, and then for your feed. I bought some spare silicone hump hose with with the clamps. Keep those on the boat in case we blow a boot on our intake.
So some stuff left to do. Obviously, we're gonna clean this up.
Yep,
Big time.
We're gonna plug these off. I gotta make an adapter here so that I can still run a thermostat. Debating whether or not I want to just run an inline thermostat between the motor and the heat exchanger. That way it's easily serviceable. We can just unthread 2 halves of housing, take it off, change it if we need to. Not worried about it plugging up, but we got to flush this block out before we do anything. We got to wait for the temperature outside to warm up. I don't want to fill it up with water, but there's dog food in there. A rat got in there, a mouse got in there.
That's insane.
Yeah, so
clean that out.
we're gonna flush that. Not gonna do the head gasket. Head gasket seems fine. Good compression on all cylinders.
We need to take this gear housing plate off.
This is all getting resealed.
Yep. I mean, these are broken studs in here, so.
We got gaskets for everything. We're going to do main seals front and back. There's a tool. Tap it, cover gasket. Timing cover gasket. Head gasket. Everything you'd want. Even came with extra turbo hardware. This won't work on the water-cooled turbo, but and valve cover gasket.
Sweet.
Even new copper crush washers.
Yeah.
And hardware for the injection side.
Beautiful. All right.
Okay, clear? Yep.
Oops, you bumped the thing.
Yep, it's pretty nasty.
Indeed.
It's a new intake foot. This one's narrower, it doesn't require any fasteners in the hull. So we'll plug weld the holes that were there. We're just doing this because this is a little bit corroded up in here, and this is awfully thin through here, and the casting's crooked, and the hole goes in at an angle, and it just concerns me this might be thin or break off, and this is stainless and won't deteriorate, and
Yep.
won't have to worry about it.
Cool. New transmission.
New transmission's beautiful. We gotta upsize our flange on our prop shaft because this is a bigger prop shaft diameter. And Jan hooked me up with a nice transmission fluid cooler, so we don't have to worry about that. It's even got exactly the perfect thread, by the way, Jan, if you watch this. It's like you knew exactly what we were doing. So, well, yeah, we'll just use compression and hard copper lines for our transmission fluid. Jan hooked me up with this torque dampener plate too, which is a little bit worn out, a little bit old, but it's gonna do the job for our mock-up. It'll help us get the Yeah, that spring's a little loose. I wouldn't want that to fly out.
It's cool though.
It works perfect, just to show they haven't changed anything in the last 55 years. This splines are tight, fits perfect.
Yeah.
So, and it came with a great manual. This manual has all the technical data you could ever want, and all the schematics show all the dimensions for people like us that are going to need that.
And Jake, what is this transmission?
This is a ZF 68A. This particular transmission is geared 1.22 to 1. So it'll let us swing a nice big prop. We're not losing a ton of gearing.
And if you notice, it's at an angle.
Yep, it's got an 8-degree down angle, so that's about level right there. And you can notice the output shaft is already about just at the perfect angle for our prop shaft.
Yep. Sweet.
And it's got nice provisions for a heavy-duty motor mount. So
it's going to be amazing. And it shifts so hard.
And yeah, the shifting mechanism is just, the D10 in there is just effortless. It's super nice, smooth. And it has provisions on the back for a control valve, so you can bypass your hydraulic pressure, and with the right controller you can make the boat operate at any speed you want.
Sweet.
So here's our stuff box. I bought 4-ply silicone reinforced tubing, and I got, well, these are actually the cheap clamps. These are backups that I ordered. These are the nicer ones. These stainless steel T-nut clamps. T-bolt clamps, sorry. So our new shaft log is going to be full 2-inch, or 2.5-inch, I'm sorry. This is just a piece of pipe I had laying around. But yeah, I'm going to have everything double clamped for redundancy, so no leaks. And then our stuff box here, we're going to upgrade the packing in it from the original braided cotton packing to a more modern graphite impregnated 1/4-inch packing.
Sweet.
So, first and foremost, you need some sort of rigging, crane or maybe a $800 Harbor Freight deal, one of those gantries.
That's a big deal.
I think we're gonna. Right now, the plan is gin pole crane off the back of that box truck frame. That'll allow us to still lift, because this is about the same height as it's going to be on the trailer.
Yep, it is.
So we need to be able to lift that motor high enough to get it in there and get it test fit several times, in and out
Easily,
repeatedly.
Yeah. All right.
So probably a gin pole crane.
I don't know how to spell that. I'm gonna say gin.
Gin, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a big one. We need to
Just finalize our plumbing.
Let's make categories. So this is for how about for the motor? What needs to be done? Let's see.
Well, that's something we can work on today. We need to reseal everything.
Right.
We need to go through the timing cover. We need to get all our hardware squared away.
Seal. And that's gonna be
Timing cover,
timing,
oil pan.
cover,
You just got to check that sump. I want to pull a pan off one more time.
pan. Yep. We need to
Sump,
do.
put sump on there. Sump gasket. Oil pan / sump gasket.
Yep. Okay. How about
Valve covers.
valve covers? Yep.
Water pump.
Yep.
We need to convert the existing hose barbs for the inlet and outlet for the engine coolant to 1-inch MPT fittings for our heat exchanger.
So inlet, in/out, fittings.
Just put thermostat housing seal or gasket.
All right.
That's enough.
Okay. It's really hard to write like this. The gear cover. What do you call that?
Timing gear cover?
Timing gear cover.
It's already on there. Timing cover.
Oh, duh. But yeah, there's in that there's a couple bolts that are broken off that we need to fix.
No bolts are broken off. They're just missing.
There's one broken off.
We don't have any broken off bolts in timing cover.
Okay, I'm pretty sure we do. We
Nope.
have one.
Where? I don't remember ever seeing a broken off bolt in timing cover.
I do.
Well, we need to reseal the timing or the injection pump.
Okay.
We want to pull the injection pump again.
Okay.
Reset our timing. Get all the correct hardware for it.
Pull. Reset. Timing. Hardware. Yep.
And then just the adapter plate. And that's pretty much.
Yeah.
That's more the transmission than the motor, but that's going to go in its own category.
Okay. What else?
Well, the shaft log, we got to cut the hull, pull the shaft log out, reset our shaft log location for our new prop shaft angle and the bigger prop. We've got a shifter, throttle linkage that's got to go in. I'm gonna have to run fuel lines at some point, but that's easy. That doesn't even need to go on there. I've already got all the shit to do that. That won't
Okay.
take. We're just gonna build off of what's already there. Just put a return line in.
We're using the same tanks,
Yep.
so we're gonna use the same gas fuel line. Or are you gonna run?
I'm gonna splice into the 3/8 copper and then run 3/8 poly from the 3/8 copper because 3/8 copper is always already there. There's no point in.
Right.
We just have to run a return line and a valve for each tank. So when you when you pull fuel from one tank, it's returning to that tank. So
Yeah.
you don't overflow the other tank with diesel.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to put a splitter, a manifold in back there, and 2 valves.
So tank splitter.
So the shaft log on this boat is so overbuilt. It comes down out of the hull. There's a solid foot of
Let's go over there and show.
pipe or tubing. And there's 2 cutlass bearings. I'm going to put that shaft in my lathe and make sure everything's good. If there is run out, we'll put some focalized heat to correct for the run out in the shaft, straighten the shaft, and I'm not worried about having 2 cutlass bearings. I think that's just overkill, especially for a boat this size and a shaft that long. The shaft's not long enough. I don't think we're going to have to mitigate whip in the shaft. So I'm sure that's what the original builder, Conrad, was doing when he put two cutlass bearings in it. But I just don't. I think that guy liked to overbuild stuff,
Which is
why this boat's still around.
yeah.
But
It's pretty cool.
I think we're gonna simplify the shaft log. We're gonna shorten it considerably. We won't have it protrude through the bottom of the hull. There's no reason for that. It'll reduce the drag onto the boat. We're gonna cut the skeg, if you will, or the keel off that hangs down under the prop. We're gonna rebuild all that. I'm gonna make my own strut for it. I'd like to use stainless and then put a flange on top and then bolt it into the hull. Just to reduce the likelihood of any electrolysis issues with the cutlass bearing in the shaft.
Then we're gonna.
It's got some good zincs on it.
Yep.
It's got a nice zinc on the rudder too. But I think I'm going to drop the rudder down. I'm going to cut the rudder shorter, make the rudder not as long but deeper. I think
Just a little
with the shaft angle more aggressive, we're going to want more rudder under the boat. Yep. Also, it will reduce the amount of mechanical advantage the water has over the steering linkage because you don't have fulcrum so far out away from the shaft. Should make the boat handle a little bit nicer. At least you won't have as much back feed into the steering.
Cool. Alrighty. No.
I'm tired of dealing with stuck shit.
Holy crap. Holy crap. Dude. Wow. That's intense. Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be in the deuce.
Nice. Dang. We got that tube out of there. And Jake squared it up. So it's 3.5 inches wide, correct, Jake? Is that what you cut it at?
Yeah.
Yep. And that way you can, I'll just be able to plasma cut a plate with the right shaped oval for this at whatever angle we decide to set the shaft log at. And then we'll just make a modular plate that drops in. We'll put a press brake in it. Bend at probably like a 10-degree or something, very, very shallow. Whatever the angle is the hull meets, we'll measure it here. But yeah, and then
weld the plate in, get the shaft in there, shimmed to the get the log in there, shim to the shaft. Once the shaft's set, we've got to make a dummy strut just to hold the shaft at the angle we want it, and then set the motor in, make sure everything fits right, and then we'll just tack the log in, weld it, and it should be good.
You got to figure out how to lift this motor in here too.
Well, we're going to build a crane off the back of that box truck, temporary crane.
Yeah. Cool.
Cheap Harbor Freight winch.
Yep. All right. Cool.
Keep it under $1,000.